When the last city fell, Earth's defenders activated one final protocol. Deep beneath the planet, in a vault sealed by fear, the Hulk slept. Not as a hero. Not even as a man. But as a failsafe. A weapon built for the end of everything. He wasn't meant to feel, speak, or think, only destroy. The key was never to wake him, unless Earth had already lost. When the sky split and silence swallowed hope, someone made the call. And now he's awake, and he doesn't know the war is already over. The world was already gone. Not in theory. Not in warning signs. It was simply over. Cities were glass. Oceans were ink. The sky was cracked with veins of static, pulsing every time another country collapsed into silence. The Hollow didn't invade like soldiers, they seeped in like rot. They never spoke, never paused, never negotiated. They just consumed. Above the ruins of London, the final resistance cell fell without a sound. Below it, 10 miles underground in Vault Zero, a shaking hand hovered over a glowing green button. One word pulsed on the screen: greenlight. The old man staring at it whispered, he was never meant to wake up. And then he pressed it. Across the bunker, seismic locks released with a metallic roar. Freezers hissed open. Fail-safes disengaged. And behind layers of reinforced glass and spell-sealed steel, something massive moved. His chest rose first. Then his fingers twitched, thick, scarred knuckles cracking under pressure. Breathing. Heavy. Slow. His body wasn't just asleep. It had been shut off. Years ago, Bruce Banner made the hardest call of his life, to lock the Hulk away, not for safety, but as insurance. If everything failed. If every hero fell. If Earth needed a god who didn't care about right or wrong, just results. Inside the chamber, eyes snapped open. Not glowing. Not angry. Empty. The lights in the vault shattered as his pulse spiked. The sensors tried to engage. Protocols loaded. But he was already awake. The vault door didn't open. It exploded. Chunks of reinforced alloy flew through the hallway as the Hulk stepped out, barefoot, silent, breathing in Earth's new air, air laced with death, acid, and alien spores. His skin reacted immediately, shifting tones, absorbing toxins. His muscles stretched, not with rage, but adaptation. He wasn't angry. He was ready. AI screens flickered around him, trying to communicate. Subject Gamma 01. You are now active. Please proceed to Control Bay 4. He crushed the panel with a tap of his finger. As he moved upward through the bunker, he passed bones. Not soldiers. Scientists. People who had died in stasis. People who'd helped create the thing now walking freely through the Earth's underbelly. His mind flashed, images. War. Shield Tony. Natasha. Then, nothing. Just static. He didn't know who he was. But his fists remembered why he existed. He punched through the last wall and climbed into sunlight for the first time in decades. The sky was red. The Hollow saw him. Dozens of them. Skeletal, shifting forms like shadows with teeth. No language. No fear. Just movement. They surrounded him. One leapt forward. The Hulk caught it mid-air and ripped it apart like paper. Another jumped. He slammed it into the earth so hard the ground cratered. A third burst into flame just touching him, his cells now radiating energy Earth had never known. He wasn't like before. This Hulk didn't shout. He didn't run. He simply looked at the rest of them. And walked forward. He walked through the ruins like a ghost no one could stop. The Hollow didn't understand him. They'd studied Earth's defenses for decades, learned how to counter energy, matter, magic. But this thing wasn't part of their records. Their hive links scrambled the moment he touched the air. They tried overwhelming force. 5 attacked at once. They didn't survive a second. He didn't roar. He didn't speak. He just moved. The sky watched him in silence. Even the ash in the air seemed to hesitate around his form. His body wasn't just a weapon anymore, it was reacting. With every step, his cells changed, absorbing elements from the ruined ecosystem. Radiation, fungal decay, corrupted oxygen, it all fueled him. Evolved him. This wasn't just Hulk. This was adaptation incarnate. Somewhere beneath the planet, survivors in hidden bunkers watched him through fractured satellite feeds. "Is it really him?" a woman whispered, voice cracking. "He's bigger," someone replied. "Stronger. Different." "No," said an older voice, trembling. "He's worse. That's not Banner. That's what Banner locked away." Above the ruins of a shattered monument, Hulk stood still. Around him, Hollow crawled over buildings like insects, flanking, circling. Their queen had arrived. She didn't walk. She floated, thin, stretched skin, her head surrounded by flickering red rings. No mouth. Just a thought transmitter that pulsed like a heartbeat. She spoke directly into his mind. "You are not needed. This world is ours." Hulk tilted his head slightly. He didn't answer. She tried again. "You were designed to protect. But there's nothing left to save." She extended her arms, beckoning. "Sleep again, and we will spare what remains." Hulk's eyes narrowed. He didn't speak. He moved. In one leap, he tore through the air and slammed into her like a meteor. The impact lit up the sky, not with fire, but force. The kind of raw energy that cracked tectonic plates. The queen screamed. Not audibly, but through every hollow around her, all of them shrieking in unison. She tried to phase. Hulk grabbed her by the throat mid-shift. And squeezed. Her body writhed, reshaped, fractured into 10 forms, but he held the one that mattered. The one with the neural core. She tried to infect his mind. But there was no mind left to hack. Just will. And he broke her. The remaining hollow scattered like roaches. They had no hive mind. No signal. Only terror. He stood in the crater where she died, surrounded by dust and fire. For a moment, he breathed like a man. Slow. Controlled. But then something clicked. From within his own chest, a signal activated. It wasn't from Earth. It was from orbit. A hollow failsafe. The Queen had only been the scout. And now, the real army was coming. Above the clouds, a rip opened. Not just in space. In reality. An entire fleet the size of the moon poured through, living ships, biomechanical titans, ready to burn what was left. The world below had one protector. And he had just decided to stop holding back. The sky opened like a wound. Massive, pulsing, alive. The hollow fleet poured through, biomechanical leviathans, cities in motion, each ship shaped like a crawling beast, a breathing engine of consumption. They didn't just fly. They moved like predators, scanning Earth with hive-born instinct. And they all saw one thing. Hulk. He stood alone in the wasteland, still breathing, chest rising with a rhythm that shook the soil. His eyes reflected the fire in the sky, unblinking. They didn't send scouts. They sent a cannon. A bolt of energy the size of a mountain, fired from orbit, aimed straight at him. It lit the atmosphere like a second sun. He didn't dodge. He punched it. The force rippled across the continent, shockwaves flattened hills, cracked roads, shattered what few windows still existed in ruined cities. When the smoke cleared, Hulk was still standing. His skin scorched. His eyes glowing. His body, growing. Every blast made him stronger. Every impact woke something deeper. He bent his knees. And jumped. Straight into the sky. Higher. Faster. He broke through the upper atmosphere in seconds, no tech, no suit, just will. His body burned as he entered space, but even the vacuum couldn't stop him. His blood boiled, then cooled. His lungs collapsed, then reformed. His cells didn't resist. They adapted. The first ship saw him coming. It opened fire. Hulk tore through it like it was paper. Through the hull, through its command cortex, through the queen mind embedded in its center. Screams echoed across the fleet as one of their own felt death for the first time. Then came the others. 100 ships turned. Locked on. Surrounded him in space. They didn't understand. Hulk wasn't here to fight. He was here to end. They launched tendrils, binding tech laced with dark matter and psionic suppressors. He let them wrap around him. Let them pull him toward the center of the swarm. And when they thought they had him, he exploded. Not in fire. In force. A gamma burst so violent it collapsed 3 ships instantly and short-circuited half the fleet's hive link. The rest began to fall into each other, crashing like dominoes in space. The largest ship, twice the size of Manhattan, opened a rift gate, trying to flee. Hulk dove into it before it could close. Inside, he found the core hive, a pulsating sphere of nerve and code, protected by the last hollow general. The creature spoke for the first time. You are not flesh. You are not soul. What are you? Hulk stared at the core. And for the first time since waking up, he spoke. I'm what's left when everything else dies. Then he leapt. And tore the heart out of their entire species. The rift collapsed. The sky on Earth cleared. And one figure fell from orbit, blazing like a green comet, smoke trailing behind him as he crashed into the Earth, shaking the world one last time. The crater was still smoking when he moved. He didn't rise like a hero. He just stood, slowly, heavily, like the Earth itself was reluctant to let him go. His skin had changed again, no longer green, but a deep glowing emerald, laced with golden cracks where cosmic energy had burned through. His eyes were calm now, but unreadable. Not rage. Not peace. Something in between. Something alien. He was no longer the Hulk that had gone to sleep decades ago. And everyone watching knew it. High above, from a hidden satellite feed, the last human command center zoomed in on the figure. Is that still him? Someone whispered. No, the commander replied. That's what's left after gods and monsters burn away. Across the forest, a survivor convoy approached. Old trucks. Dusty solar drones. Families who had spent years underground, hiding from the hollow. They had only heard stories of the Green Giant. Myths. Tales passed down like bedtime prayers. Now he stood before them. Silent. Radiating energy. More force of nature than man. A little girl stepped forward from the crowd, holding a cracked tablet with a photo of the old Avengers. She pointed at it. You're Hulk, she said. He looked at her. And something flickered. A memory. Bruce. A lab. A promise to never let the world see him like this again. He dropped to one knee. The ground didn't shake. The people didn't run. They stepped closer. Not because they weren't afraid, but because they had nothing left to fear. A medic approached and scanned him. The device sparked, overloaded. The Hulk chuckled, low, brief. Then he looked up at the sky, where the rift had closed. He whispered. It's done. The commander on the satellite feed saw the power levels dip. The radiation was receding. Earth was healing. Slowly. But enough. Then a new alert blinked. Not a threat. A question. Hollow signature, 0. Humanity remaining, 3%. They'd won. But at what cost? Later, in the ruins of an old Stark lab, Hulk walked alone. The tech was fried. But something was still running, an AI fragment. Friday's voice flickered back to life. Bruce, you were never meant to wake up. He nodded. I know. Protocol Greenlight wasn't just to stop the hollow. It was to end everything if we lost. He paused. I didn't end everything. Not yet, Friday answered. He looked into a broken screen. His reflection stared back, part Hulk, part something else. Something evolved. I'm not Banner anymore, he said. No. But maybe you're something better. He stepped into the sunlight. A few birds flew overhead. Children laughed in the distance. The air smelled like dust and hope. He didn't smile. But he didn't frown either. He walked into what remained of the world, not as a monster, not as a weapon. But maybe, just maybe, as its beginning. He sat alone on the edge of a ruined cliff where a city used to be. No sound. No threat. Just wind. The hollow were gone. The skies were blue for the first time in years. Trees that hadn't moved in a decade were beginning to breathe again. But he didn't look at the sky. He looked at his hands. Not fists anymore. Just hands. Scarred, calloused, glowing faintly at the cracks, still pulsing with gamma, but slower now. Controlled. He whispered, "What am I now?" No answer came. Not from above. Not from inside. The Banner voice, the one that used to argue, explain, beg, was gone. Not erased. Just silent. Not because it had lost. Because it had finally been heard. Behind him, the last surviving humans were rebuilding. Not skyscrapers or monuments, just shelter. Clean water. A school. Laughter was returning in pieces. And fear was retreating. But they didn't know what to call him. Hulk felt wrong now. That name belonged to rage. To war. To a world that needed to break before it could heal. He turned his head as a boy approached, no older than 10, barefoot in the grass. He held something, a gift. It was a piece of broken armor. From one of the hollow ships. Burnt. Bent. But on it, the child had carved something by hand. A single word. Protector. The boy offered it silently. Hulk took it with both hands. Carefully. Like it might break. Then the earth trembled. Not an attack. Not danger. But a warning. A satellite still orbiting the earth blinked online. Friday's voice buzzed through a restored console in the remains of Stark Tower. Bruce, or whatever you've become, you need to see this. A projection beamed into the clouds. The Hollow weren't the only enemy out there. In destroying their fleet, Hulk had sent a signal, a flare through dimensions, timelines, realities. Something had heard it. Something bigger. Something hungry. And it was coming. From the far edges of the multiverse, an anomaly approached, not one ship. Not an army. A being. Titanic. Unnamed. Beyond science. Beyond magic. Earth wouldn't survive another war like this. But Hulk didn't flinch. He stood slowly, watching the sky. And then, for the first time since waking up, he spoke with absolute clarity. Then I'll stand again. No roar. No flex. Just truth. He placed the boy's carved armor plate on his chest like a symbol. Not of destruction. But of choice. He looked at the survivors. At the rebuilt homes. The green returning to the soil. This was no longer about rage. It was about legacy. And if Earth needed him again, he would rise. Not as Hulk. Not as Banner. But as something new. A weapon no longer chained to war, but forged for what comes next. The sky cracked open. And he walked toward it. Alone. Unstoppable. And ready.